value there and could potentially shorten. Final game I will cover is Monday Night Football on the South Coast, 8 p.m. Bournemouth against Southampton. Um, I think with this one, it's worth noting that obviously this is being recorded on Thursday. Game was on Monday, so these will be more leans than locks. We haven't really got full markets for a lot of books, so it's worth noting that. What I will do, however, is keep an eye on when markets are released, and I'll be posting a pretty comprehensive thread on this game. I think it's a really nice matchup, some good angles to take advantage of even now. But as you know, I prefer to sort of wait closer to kickoff, safer for accounts. Um, but yeah, I'll go through some good leans so far in this game. So first of all, Bournemouth. They recently lost 3-0 to Liverpool, and before that lost 1-0 to Chelsea. So back-to-back defeats after what was a pretty strong start to the season. However, it's worth noting that their performances have been much better than the results suggest. Against Liverpool, obviously you mentioned before, they had 19 shots, they forced 7 saves from Kelleher, so could have been a very different storyline. They obviously had the first goal of the game disallowed as well to Semenyo. So yeah, could have been very different. I thought they were impressive against Chelsea as well. They're very good at creating shots from sort of counter-attacking opportunities. They're very efficient on the break, and I think coming into this game against Southampton, they should be really, really confident, especially given that their South Coast neighbours are currently yet to win since their promotion. And I think worryingly for them, if you are a Saints fan, we're starting to see sort of Plan B, Plan C, Plan D come into fruition for Russell Martin, which is, I think, for me, suggestive that his time with the Reigns is sort of drawing to a close. They did, however, get their first point of the season against Ipswich and were denied all three by a late Sam Morsy strike. Southampton sort of posted a very different lineup in that game, which makes me a little skeptical of this one. But I think it will be interesting to see whether Russell Martin sort of sticks with the same team that got him that point. For me, I'm not convinced, so I sort of want to wait a bit more for information. In terms of the injury report, only Tyler Adams is out for Bournemouth, so they're basically boasting a full contingent. Southampton are obviously a bit harder to predict. They don't have a massive injury report, but we have seen rotation in the last couple of weeks, so they are a team to keep an eye on. Again, as I say, Monday kickoff. So we don't get markets for Paddy Power or Sky yet, or we don't have them available yet. Bet365 are available though, and there are some early prices that stand out for me. First of all, Taylor Harwood Bellis to make a foul. Um, he's obviously struggled a bit um, with the step up to the Premier League, and that's been reflected in his fouls data. But he did look a lot more composed in his previous game, it must be noted. Um, I was impressed by him actually in terms of how he plays on the ball. I think operating in a back four, he's a lot more naturally going to be a lot more exposed. He can't really afford to make a mistake in that position, but I thought he was all right. Contested a tough matchup with Liam Delap and made 4 fouls, I believe, in that game. And he's currently priced at 1.8 to commit a foul with 365. Probably worth noting that Paddy Power are usually top price in that market or have been over the course of the season so far. So could potentially be worth waiting for them, see if they open any higher. But I already think 1.8 is good value if you're looking for something right now. Next sort of lean is Bournemouth shots, which is a market I've been interested in all season. I think I've been very impressed with how Bournemouth have played. As I said, the results might not have been positive in the last 2 games, but that doesn't mean performances have been poor as well. 19 shots against Liverpool, 19 shots against Chelsea, which is again pretty impressive numbers against two opponents who have started the season in really good form. Uh, I haven't had a look into the shot lines just yet, but my focus for this is on players. So for Bournemouth, a lot of their chances are sort of concentrated to the three attacking midfielders, being Semenyo, Tavernier, and Kluivert. So I think for me, the main target is Semenyo and Tavernier, just because Kluivert's sort of minutes are they're more difficult to predict. With Semenyo and Tavernier, they've been much more consistent this season, and I would fancy at least one of them or even both of them to play the full 90 in this game. I think both have very interesting. You can make very interesting points for both of them. So we'll start off with Semenyo. This season, he's had at least 3 shots in every game, averaging 4.8 shots per game on average, which is pretty ridiculous numbers. Um, Most recently, he had 4 shots, 2 on target, and a disallowed goal against Liverpool. But I think the sort of bit that stands out for me is he didn't play the full 90, which was the first time this season he was subbed early. Not entirely sure why. Maybe could have just been sort of tactical change. Didn't seem to be injury related. Um, but in that game, Tavernier did play the 90. And he actually seems to have potentially a safer minutes floor than Semenyo. If we look at his minutes, he's played at least 80 minutes in every league game so far, and he even started in the EFL Cup game against West Ham. So I think that suggests to me that he is one of the key players under Iraola, potentially on the same sort of level as Semenyo. So is going under the radar a little bit. In addition, Tavernier is the allocated free kick taker, um, and he's quite effective at taking them. I think most of the time when he does take them, you sort of see him get them on target. He's a good player from that in that sort of regard. If he has a sort of safe minutes floor, I actually really like his shot on target price of Bet365. He's currently 1.8 to register a shot on target, and considering that's landed in 5 out of 6 games for him so far in all competitions, including the start against West Ham, I think it looks a really good price. The only game it's failed is Liverpool at Anfield, which we can sort of forgive him for. Very tough matchup. Against Southampton at home, I think it's an ideal matchup to back shots here in this game, and high quality chances too. So again, 1.8 for a shot on target looks a solid price. For Semenyo, he's obviously quite a bit shorter, given how he's sort of, I think he's registered the most shots in the league so far, which is pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I do think the value is in Tavernier, although Semenyo seems to have a sort of safer floor in that regard, but he is noticeably shorter. Again, probably worth waiting for sort of other books to open up. I doubt anyone will be higher than 365, but worth the wait, I would say. Another thing that I'm interested in is the foul markets for this game. So Southampton obviously are going to persist with a possession-based style under Russell Martin, and I think in doing so they've been a target for drawing fouls and drawing tackles. I think they draw a good matchup against Bournemouth, a team who like to press, a team who sort of favour a chaotic game, who will look to play on the break wherever possible. I think it lends itself to being quite high duels, and I think Bournemouth tackles and Bournemouth fouls are a pretty safe bet here. So if we're sort of looking into player data, there's a couple of players that sort of stand out for me. One being Kluivert again. Obviously, I mentioned a bit of a risk with his minutes, but when he does start, his data is ridiculous. Last season he made the most fouls for Bournemouth, pressing from the front, pressing aggressively, and he's kept up that record this season with 5 fouls against Newcastle in his first start, before making 4 fouls against Chelsea and 3 fouls against Liverpool. So he sort of has the intent. If Southampton are going to see more of the ball, I really like his foul prices. If he can get more than 45 minutes, obviously he was subbed at the break against Liverpool, which sort of interests me. Maybe potentially into sort of first half foul prices could be an angle to go for, but I do think they'll be quite short. He's currently 1.72 for 2 fouls with Bet365, which is just about, I would say, backable as a single. You'd ideally look to be sort of pairing that with something. I do have a feeling though, Paddy Power do tend to open quite high on these kind of bets, so could be worth just waiting out for them. Again, this is just his data from player stats. 5 league games so far, two 2 fouls in 4 of those, including 26 minute off the bench against Forest. He made two fouls, averaging 2.66 fouls per 90 over the last 30 games. So he obviously won't, or likely won't get the full 90. But if he can get sort of 60 minutes against a possession-based team, really like his foul prices. Um, just underneath him, Lewis Cook has also been. He's had sort of very aggressive starts this season. Three bookings, and he's made the most fouls for Bournemouth so far, playing as a sort of holding midfielder. He's a target. He's made at least two fouls in 4 out of 5. Again, he's accumulated three cards, and he's also priced at 1.72 to make two fouls. So again, decent matchup against a possession-based side. He'll likely be on the same sort of area of the field as Dibley, who's good at drawing fouls, adept at drawing fouls, likes to dribble, goes down pretty easily. So good in that regard. Um, but yeah, as I say, I like a few of the shot bets. I like a few of the foul bets, but it's worth waiting for additional markets to release because I think that's an important part of finding value, having that sort of odds comparison. Um, so let's be patient. But if you want some early prices, if you're sort of worried about price drops and things like that, could go for some of these prices with 365. I think the Harwood Bellis one will drop. I do think Tavernier will also drop slightly as well. As I say, I sort of tend to post my bets sort of day in advance at most, just to sort of shield my account and shield the accounts people who follow as well. So I will be having a sort of more comprehensive thread on this game. So if you're not already, I imagine most of you are, but please make sure you're following me on Twitter um, for that, and I'll be posting all of my bets on Telegram as well with an advice taking plan. I think a bit of a change for me going forward is